welcome to Progressive Patriotism. And a lot of people say they love this country, love Australia. And some even march through the streets yelling about who belongs here and who doesn't. So I figured if you love this country so much, maybe you should actually read the thing that made it. This Australian Constitution, it's not exactly a page turner, but you'll watch me turn every bloody page. You'll see it. You'll see me turn every page. But the whole thing is just basically us writing to the Queen, asking for permission. Hey, Mum, please, can we hang out? Please, can we federate? We promise we'll follow the rules. You know, we'll share with our siblings. We'll ask for permission. You know, it's just a rule book of Mum, can I party? But here's the deal. I'm going to read the whole thing out loud until I feel genuinely patriotic, or until I finish the book, whatever comes first. Because if shouting about Australia makes you Australian, then reading this book should give me godly powers. Maybe I'll ascend and float into the sky at the end of the video. So yeah, let's sit down, let's read the damn thing. But before we jump in, I just want to give a shout out to the Constitutional Clarion, her YouTube channel. Oh my God, she genuinely knows this book. And yeah, go watch it. She's great. And any other Australian content, get on there, give it a watch. More importantly, let's just read the damn thing. Let's see what we can learn. Let's find out what actually it says in here. Let's make some 1901 people proud. So grab a drink, sit down, sit back. I'm going to put my feet up. I'm going to read this thing. I stole my comfy chair from the missus. And yeah, while we're at it, if anyone wants to buy the Lego, I'd love some money. So buy the entire thing for $18,000. There we go. That's a number. That'll help. All right. Let's get into it. Let's get comfy. I'm going to put my feet up. Oh my God. Right. Oh, feet are up. I got no pants on. Right. The Australian Constitution. No, the Constitution of Australia. I can't even read it properly. I've only just started. But hey, let's go. Let's break it in. A publisher's note to begin with. The documents presented here are transcriptions of the originals, with any chances being only those necessary to fit this format. The capitalization, spelling, punctuation, and formatting reflect the original documents. That's going to be fun. Time machine. Let's go back in time. Commonwealth of Australia. Constitution Act 1900. An act to constitute the Commonwealth of Australia. Whereas the people of New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Queensland, and Tasmania humbly rely on the blessing of Almighty God, have agreed to unite in one indissoluble federal commonwealth under the crown of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, and under the Constitution hereby established. And whereas it is expedient to provide for the admission into the Commonwealth of other Australasian colonies and possessions of the Queen, be it therefore enacted by the Queen's most excellent Majesty, by and with advice and consent of the Lords Spiritual and Temporal and Commons in this present Parliament Assembly, and by the authority of the same as follows. Spicy stuff. Covering clauses. Short title. The Act may be cited as the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act. 2. Act 2. To extend to the Queen's successors the provisions of the Act referring to the Queen shall extend to Her Majesty's heirs, successors in the sovereignty of the United Kingdom. Number 3, Act 3. Oh, no, not Act 3, just number 3. Proclamation of the Commonwealth. It shall be lawful for the Queen, with the advice of the Privy Council, to declare by proclamation that on and after a day therein appointed, not being later than 1 year after the passing of this Act, that the people of New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Queensland, and Tasmania, eat your heart out, Western Australia, and also if Her Majesty is satisfied that the people of Western Australia, oh, there we go, have agreed to thereto of Western Australia, shall be united in a federation, in a federal commonwealth, under the name of the Commonwealth of Australia. But the Queen may at any time after the proclamation appoint a Governor-General for the Commonwealth. Number 4, commencement of the Act. The Commonwealth shall be established, and the Constitution of the Commonwealth shall take effect on and after the day so appointed. But the parliaments of the several colonies may at any time after the passing of this act make any such laws to come into operation on the day so appointed, as they might have made it the Constitution had taken effect at the passing of this act. All right, so just in case, there's like a little leeway there. You can jump out if you don't want to be, Operation of the Constitution and laws. This act and all laws made by the Parliament of the Commonwealth under the Constitution shall be binding on the courts, judges, and people of every state and of every part of the Commonwealth, notwithstanding anything in the laws of any state, and the laws of the Commonwealth shall be in force on all British ships, and the Queen's ships of war excepted, whose first port of clearance and whose port of destination are in the Commonwealth. Number 6. Definitions. The Commonwealth shall mean the Commonwealth of Australia as established under this Act. Ooh, spicy. The states shall mean such of the colonies of New South Wales, New Zealand. Get in line, New Zealand. Get in line. Queensland, Tasmania, Victoria, Western Australia, and South Australia, including the Northern Territory of South Australia, when they were all a little couple, where South Australia went north to south, so technically not just South Australia. But anyway, more importantly, as for the time being, are parts of the Commonwealth, and such colonies of territories as may be admitted into or established by the Commonwealth as states, and each of these parts of the Commonwealth shall be called a state. They deserve to be called a state. So does that maybe also possibly give grounds for Northern Territory to be a state? That's a discussion to have. We'll, just comment or something, and we'll do that. Original states shall mean such states as are parts of the Commonwealth at its establishment. Number 7. Repeal of Federal Council Act. The Federal Council of Australia Act 1885 is hereby repealed, but so as not to affect any laws passed by the Federal Council of Australia and in force at the establishment of the Commonwealth. Any such law may be repealed as to any state by the Parliament of the Commonwealth, or as to any colony not being a state by the Parliament thereof. Number 8. Application of Colonial Boundaries Act. After the passing of this Act, the Colonial Boundaries Act of 1895 shall not apply to any colony which becomes a state of the Commonwealth, but the Commonwealth shall be taken to be a self-governing colony for the purposes of that Act. Spicy stuff. Spicy stuff. The Constitution part, or Constitution. If you're reading along, we're on page 6, everybody. If you're reading along. This Constitution is divided as follows. Chapter 1, the Parliament. Part 1, General. Part 2, the Senate. Part 3, the House of Representatives. Part 4, both houses of the Parliament. Part 5, powers of the Parliament. Then we jump into Chapter 2. Chapter 2, the Executive Government. Chapter 3, the Judicature, whatever it is. Correct me. Finance and Trade is chapter 4. Chapter 5, the states. Chapter 6, the new states. Ooh, if we want new ones, we can let them in, I guess. Ooh, number 7, miscellaneous. The weird drawer with everything in the house is just thrown in there. Number 8, alteration of the Constitution. The schedule. La la. Chapter 1, the Parliament. Part 1, General. Part 1, General, that's what we said on the other page. Number 1, legislative power. The legislative power of the Commonwealth shall be vested in a federal parliament, which shall consist of the Queen, a Senate, and a House of Representatives, and which is hereinafter called the Parliament or the Parliament of the Commonwealth. Number 2, the Governor-General. A Governor-General appointed by the Queen shall be Her Majesty's representative in the Commonwealth and shall have and may exercise in the Commonwealth during the Queen's pleasure, but subject to this Constitution. Such powers and functions of the Queen as Her Majesty may be pleased to assign him, maybe her as well. I've heard the current Governor-General is a lovely lady. Number 3, salary of Governor-General. All right, hear me. All right, how much are we spending for this person? There shall be payable to the Queen out of the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Commonwealth for the salary of the Governor-General and annual sum, which until the Parliament otherwise provides, shall be £10,000. £10,000. The salary of the Governor-General shall not be altered during his continuance in office. I'm going to have to say we're probably going to run into a lot of his stuff here, gender-biased stuff in this book, because at the time, we understand the times, 1901. But everyone can run, right? This country is built on that. Everyone can be involved. Well, not technically built on it as I'm reading this document, but we've changed things. Extends to everyone. Love this country. Number 4, provisions relating to Governor-General. The provisions of the Constitution relating to the Governor-General extend and apply to the Governor-General for the time being, or such persons as the Queen may appoint to administer the government of the Commonwealth, but no such person shall be entitled to receive any salary from the Commonwealth in respect of any other office during this administration of the government of the Commonwealth. Hear that? Take note. Sessions of Parliament. Oh, number 5. Sessions of Parliament. Prorogation and dissolution. The Governor-General may appoint such times for holding the sessions of Parliament as he thinks fit, and may also, from time to time, by proclamation or otherwise, prorogue the Parliament, and may in like manner dissolve the House of Representatives. Summoning Parliament. After any general election, the Parliament shall be summoned to meet no later than 30 days after the day appointed for the return of the writs. First session. The Parliament shall be summoned to meet no later than 6 months after the establishment of the Commonwealth. Number 6. Yearly session of Parliament. Thus shall be a session of Parliament once at least in every year, so that 12 months shall not intervene between the last sitting of the Parliament in one session and its first sitting in the next session. Part 2. The Senate. Did we miss a page? No, we did. We're fine. The Senate. We're working from top to bottom. The head of state, then the upper house, then the lower house. Fancy, fun stuff. Number 7, the Senate. The Senate shall be composed of senators for each state, directly chosen by the people of the state, voting until the Parliament otherwise provides as one electorate. But until the Parliament of Commonwealth otherwise provides, the Parliament of the state of Queensland, if that state be an original state, may make laws dividing the state into divisions and determining the number of senators to be chosen for each division. And in the absence of such provision, the state shall be one electorate. Until the Parliament otherwise provides, there shall be 6 senators for each original state. It's funny how Queensland gets a little mention there. The Parliament of the state of Queensland. If they want to break up, maybe, split them up. It's a big state, big fella. Parliament may make laws increasing or diminishing the number of senators for each state, but so that equal representation of the several original states shall be maintained, and that no original state shall have less than 6 senators. The senators shall be chosen for a term of 6 years, and the names of the senators chosen for each state shall be certified by the governor to the Governor-General. Ooh, interesting. So the state's governor goes, hey, this is who we picked. Put them in. Qualifications of electors. The qualifications of electors of senators shall be in each state that which is prescribed by this Constitution or by the Parliament as the qualification for electors of members of the House of Representatives. But in the chosen senators, each elector shall vote only once. Number 9, method of election of senators. The Parliament of the Commonwealth may make laws prescribing the method of choosing senators, but so that the method shall be uniform for all the states. Subject to any such law, the Parliament of each state may make laws prescribing the method of choosing the senators for that state. Times and places. The Parliament of a state may make laws for determining the times and places of elections of senators for the state. Number 10, application of state laws. Until the Parliament otherwise provides, but subjects to this Constitution, the laws in force in each state for the time being relating to elections for the more numerous house of the Parliament of the state shall, as nearly as practicable, apply to elections of senators for the state. Failure to choose senators, the Senate may proceed to the dispatch of business, notwithstanding the failure of any state to provide for its representation in the Senate. Issues of writs or rights or whatever. Anyway, weird old English, eh? You be English. The governor of any state may choose writs to be issued for elections of senators for the state. In case of the dissolution of the Senate, the writs shall be issued within 10 days from the proclamation of such dissolution. 13. Rotation of senators. As soon as may be after the Senate first meets, and after each first meeting of the Senate following a dissolution thereof, the Senate shall divide the senators chosen for each state into 2 classes, as nearly equal in number as practicable, and the places of the senators of the first class shall become vacant at the expiration of 3 years, and the places of those of the second class at the expiration of 6 years. From the beginning of their term of service and afterwards, the places of senators shall become vacant at the expiration of 6 years from the beginning of their term of service. The election to fill vacant places shall be made within 1 year before the places are to become vacant. For the purposes of this section, the term of service of a senator shall be taken to begin on the first day of July, following the day of his election, except in the cases of the first election and of the election next after any dissolution of the Senate, when it shall be taken to begin on the first day of July preceding the day of his election. Further provisions for rotation. Whenever the number of senators for a state is increased or diminished, the Parliament of the Commonwealth may make such provisions for the vacating of the places of senators for the state as it deems necessary to maintain regularity in the rotation. Casual vacancies. If the place of a senator becomes vacant before the expiration of his term of service, the House of Parliament of the Senate for which he has chosen, sitting and voting together, or if there is only one House of that Parliament, that House shall choose a person to hold the place until the expiration of the term. But if the Parliament of the state is not in session when the vacancy is notified, the governor of the state, with the advice of the Executive Council, thereof, may appoint a person to hold the place until the expiration of 14 days from the beginning of the next session of the Parliament of the state, or the expiration of the term, whichever first happens. All right, chicken or the egg situation, I guess. What come first? What come first? Where a vacancy has at any time occurred in the place of a senator chosen by the people of state, and at the time when he was so chosen, he has publicly recognized by a particular political party as being endorsed candidate of that party, and publicly represented himself to the such of the candidate, a person chosen or appointed under this section in consequence of that vacancy, or in consequence of that vacancy and a subsequent vacancy, or vacancies shall, unless there is no number of that party available to be chosen or appointed be a member of that party, where A, in accordance with the last preceding paragraph, a member of Parliament, particularly party, is chosen or appointed to hold the place of a senator whose place had become vacant, and before taking his seat, he ceases to be a member of that party, otherwise than by reason of the party having ceased to exist. Interesting. Convoluted. Look at that. He shall be deemed not to have been so chosen or appointed, and the vacancy shall be again notified in accordance with section 21 of this Constitution. The name of any senator chosen or appointed under this section shall be certified by the Governor General of the state to the Governor General, or by the Governor of the state to the Governor General. If the place of a senator chosen by the people of a state at the election of senators last held before the commencement of the constitutional alteration, Senate casual vacancies, 1977, became vacant before that commencement, and at the commencement no person chosen by the House or Houses of Parliament of the state or appointment by the Governor of the state in consequences of that vacancy or in consequence of that vacancy, and a subsequent vacancy or vacancies held office. This section applies as if the place of the senator chosen by the people of the state had become vacant after that commencement. My God, this reads phenomenally. A senator holding office at the commencement of the Constitution alteration, Senate casual vacancies, 1977, that's in brackets there. Being a senator appointed by the governor of a state in consequence of a vacancy that had at any time occurred in the place of a senator chosen by the people of the state shall be deemed to have been appointed to hold the place until the expiration of 14 days after the beginning of the next session of Parliament of the state that commenced or commences after he was appointed, and further action under this section shall be taken as if the vacancy in the place of the senator chosen by the people of the state had occurred after the commencement. Subject to the next succeeding paragraph, a senator holding office at the commencement of the Constitution alteration Senate Council vacancies 1977, who was chosen by the House or Houses of Parliament of a state in consequences of a vacancy that had at any time occurred in the place of a senator chosen by the people of the state shall be deemed to have been chosen to hold office until the expiration of the term of service of the senator elected by the people of the state. If, at or before the commencement of the Constitution alteration, Senate casual vacancies, 1977, a law to alter the Constitution entitled Constitutional Alteration Simultaneous Elections, 1977, came into operation, a senator holding office at the commencement of that law who was chosen by the House of Representatives, chosen by the House or House of Parliament of a state in consequences of a vacancy that had at any time occurred in the place of a senator chosen by the people of a state shall be deemed to have been chosen to hold office. Keeping track? I've lost myself, not going to lie, but I'm feeling very patriotic. A. If the senator elected by the people of the state had a term of service expiring on the 13th day of June 1978, until the expiration or dissolution of the first House of Representatives to expire or be dissolved after that law came into operation, or B, if the senator elected by the people of the state had a term of service expiring on the 13th day of June 1981 until the expiration or dissolution of the second House of Representatives to expire or be dissolved after the law came into operation, or if there is an earlier dissolution of the Senate until that dissolution. 16. Qualifications for a senator. Do you qualify? Keep track. The qualifications of a senator shall be the same as those of a member of the House of Representatives. It's funny how it goes. You're going to refer to the House of Representatives, but we haven't gotten to that part yet. So you have to keep reading. You have to read the whole thing to understand what. Yeah, it's funny. It's like foreshadowing, or it's alluding to what's next. It's like, oh. Right. 17. Election of the President. The Senate shall therefore proceed to the dispatch of any other business, chosen a senator to be the president of the Senate. And as often as the office of president becomes vacant, the Senate shall again choose a senator to be the president. The president shall cease to hold his office if he ceases to be a senator. He may be removed from office by a vote of the Senate, or he may resign his office, or his seat be writing addressed to the Governor General. 18. Absence of a president. Before or during any absence of the president, the Senate may choose a senator to perform his duties in his absence. 19. Resignation of a senator. A senator may be writing addressed to the president or to the Governor General if there is no president, or if the president is absent from the Commonwealth, resign his place, which thereupon shall become vacant. Vacancy by absence. Number 20. Vacancy by absence. The place of a senator shall become vacant if for 2 consecutive months of any session of the Parliament he, without the permission of the Senate, fails to attend the Senate. So if you don't show up to work, you're out of here, right? You're going to lose your job if you don't show up. Number 21, vacancy to be notified. Whenever a vacancy happens in the Senate, the president, or if there is no president, or if the president is absent from the Commonwealth, the Governor General shall notify the same to the governor of the state in the representation of which the vacancy has happened. Number 22, quorum. Until the Parliament otherwise provides the presence of at least 1/3 of the whole number of the senators shall be necessary to constitute a meeting of the Senate for the exercise of its powers. Number 23, voting in a Senate. Questions arising in the Senate shall be determined by a majority of votes, and each senator shall have 1 vote. The president shall in all cases be entitled to a vote, and when the votes are equal, the question shall pass in the negative. I need some water, but we're about to get some spicy stuff. We're about to move into the House of Representative parts. You're going to enjoy that. This is the good bit. It's a good bit. You know, all this government talk kind of gets me going. Right, very patriotic now. Very patriotic. Ooh, right. Ooh, my legs are out. This is only constitutions, only acts. That's what this has turned into. Just computer, do that. Right. So, part 3. Spicy stuff. Right. Spicy stuff. So we're going to go over here. We're going to go part 3, the House of Representatives. 24, Constitution of House of Representatives. The House of Representatives shall be composed of members directly chosen by the people of the Commonwealth, and the number of such members shall be as nearly as practicable twice the number of senators. The number of members chosen in the several states shall be in proportion to the representative numbers of their people, and shall, until the Parliament otherwise provides, determined whenever necessary in the following manner. A quota shall be ascertained by dividing the number of the people of the Commonwealth as shown by the latest statistics of the Commonwealth by twice the number of the senators. The number of members to be chosen in each state shall be determined by dividing the number of the people of the state as shown by the latest statistics of the Commonwealth by the quota. And if on such division there is a remainder greater than 1/2 of the quota, one more member shall be chosen in the state. But notwithstanding anything in this section, 5 members at least shall be chosen in each original state. 25. Provision as to races disqualified from voting. From the purpose of this last section, if by law of any state all persons of any race are disqualified from voting at elections for more numerous House of Parliament of the state, then in reckoning the number of the people of the state of or of the Commonwealth, persons of that race resident. Sorry, just patriotic. It's coming up. I've got to clear my throat. Persons of that race resident in that state shall not be counted. Damn, boy. They said the R word. Race. Why? Why are they dropping that? What was this, 1900 or something? 26. Representatives in First Parliament, notwithstanding anything in Section 24 in the number of members to be chosen in each state at the first election shall be as follows. New South Wales, 23. Victoria, 20. Queensland, 8. South Australia, 6. Tasmania, 5. Provided that if Western Australia is an original state, the numbers shall be as follow. New South Wales, 26. Victoria, 23. Queensland, 9. South Australia, 7. Western Australia, 5. Tasmania, 5. 26. Alteration of number of members. Subject to this Constitution, the Parliament may make laws for increasing or diminishing the number of the members of the House of the Representatives. 28. Duration of House of Representatives. Every House of Representatives shall continue for 3 years from the first meeting of the House and no longer, but may be sooner dissolved by the Governor-General. That happens a few times, doesn't it? That's happened a few times. Where they just go, dissolved. Number 29, election divisions. Until the Parliament of the Commonwealth otherwise provides, the Parliament of any state may make laws for determining the divisions in each state for which members of the House of Representatives may be chosen, and the number of members to be chosen for each division. A division shall not be formed out of parts of different states. In the absence of other provisions, each state shall be one electorate. Number 30. Qualification of electors. Until the Parliament otherwise provides, the qualification of electors of members of the House of Representatives shall be in each state that which is prescribed by the law of the state as the qualifications of electors of the more numerous House of Parliament of the state. But in the choosing of members, each elector shall vote only once. No double voting, you bastards. Right, 31. Application of state laws. Until the Parliament otherwise provides, but subject to the Constitution, the laws in force in each state for the time being related to elections for the more numerous House of Parliament of the state shall, as nearly as practicable, apply to elections in the state of members of the House of Representatives. 32. Rights for general election. The Governor-General in Council may choose rights to be issued for general elections of members of the House of Representatives. After the first general election, the rights shall be issued within 10 days from the expiration of a House of Representatives or from the proclamation of a dissolution theory. 33. Rights for vacancies. Whenever vacancy happens in the House of Representatives, the Speaker shall issue his right for the election of a new member, or if there is no Speaker, or if he is absent from the Commonwealth, the Governor-General in Council may issue the right. Or writ, whatever. 34. Qualifications of members. Until the Parliament otherwise provides, the qualifications of a member of the House of Representatives shall be as follows. He must be of the full age of 21 years. Ooh, 21-year-olds. And must be an elector entitled to vote at the election of members of the House of Representatives or a person qualified to become such elector, and must have been for 3 years at the least a resident within the limits of the Commonwealth as existing at the time when he is chosen. Or 2. He must be a subject of the Queen, either natural born or for at least 5 years naturalised under a law of the United Kingdom or of a colony which he has become or becomes a state, or of the Commonwealth or of a state. 35. Election of the Speaker. The House of Representatives shall, before proceeding to the dispatch of any other business, choose a member to be the Speaker of the House, and as often as the House of Speaker becomes vacant, the House shall again choose a member to be the Speaker. The Speaker shall cease to hold his office if he ceases to be a member. He may be removed from office by a vote of the House, or he may resign his office, or his seat be writing addressed to the Governor-General. 36. Absence of a Speaker. Before or during any absence of the Speaker, the House of Representatives may choose a member to perform his duties in his absence. 37. Resignation of member. A member may be writing addressed to the Speaker or to the Governor-General if there is no Speaker, or if the Speaker is absent from the Commonwealth, resign his place, which thereupon shall be vacant. 38. Vacancy by absence. The place of a member shall become vacant if for 2 consecutive months of any session of the Parliament he, without the permission of the House, fails to attend the House. 36. Quorum. Until the Parliament otherwise provides the presence of at least 1/3 of the whole number of the members of the House of Representatives shall be necessary to constitute a meeting of the House for the exercise of its powers. You need enough people in the House to open the party, or to have a party, not political party, just to have a party. Right. 40. Voting in House of Representatives. Questions arised in the House of Representatives shall be determined by a majority of votes other than that of the Speaker. The Speaker shall not vote unless the numbers are equal, and then he shall have a ceasing vote. Ooh. Let's have a little drink of juice. Num, 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 num. Part 4. Both houses of the Parliament. 41. Right of electors of states. No adult person who has or acquires a right to vote at elections for the more numerous house of the Parliament, of a Senate, or of a state shall, while the right continues to be provided by any law or the Commonwealth, from voting at elections for either house of the Parliament or the Commonwealth. 42. Oath or affirmation of allegiance. Every senator and every member of the House of Representatives shall, before taking his seat, make and subscribe before the Governor-General or some person authorized by him on oath or affirmation of allegiance in the form set forth in this section of this Constitution. 43. Member of one house ineligible for another. A member of either house of Parliament shall be incapable of being chosen or of sitting as a member of the house of the other house. Number 44, disqualification. Any person who is under any acknowledgement or allegiance, obedience, or adherence to a foreign power, or is a subject of a citizen, or entitled to the rights and privileges of a subject of a citizen of a foreign power, or is attainted of treason, or has been convicted and is under sentence or subject to be sentenced for any offence punishable under the law of the Commonwealth of Australia or of a state by imprisonment for 1 year or longer, or is an undischarged bankrupt or insolvent, or holds any office of profit under the Crown or any pension payable during the pleasure of the Crown out of any of the revenues of the Commonwealth, or has any direct or indirect personary, what a weirdo, can't even say words, interest in any agreement with the public service of the Commonwealth otherwise than as a member and in common with other members of an incorporated company consisting of more than 25 persons. Shall be incapable of being chosen or of sitting as a senator or a member of the House of Representatives. But subsection 4 does not apply to the office of any of the Queen's Ministers of State for the Commonwealth, or of any of the Queen's Ministers for a state, or to the receipt of pay, half pay, or a pension by any person as an officer or a member of the Queen's Navy or Army, or to the receipt of pay as an officer or member of the naval or military forces of the Commonwealth by any person whose services are not wholly employed by the Commonwealth. 45. Vacancy on happening of disqualification. If a senator or a member of the House of Representatives becomes subject to any of the disabilities mentioned in the past preceding section, or takes the benefit, whether by assignment or composition or otherwise, of any law relating to bankrupt or insolvency debtors, or directly or indirectly takes or agrees to take any fee or honorary for services rendered to the Commonwealth or for services rendering the Parliament to any person or state, his place shall be thereupon become vacant. 46. Penalty for sitting when disqualified. Until the Parliament otherwise provides, any person declared by this Constitution be incapable of sitting as a senator or as a member of the House of Representatives shall, for every day on which he so sits, be liable to pay the sum of £100 to any person who sues for it in any court or competent jurisdiction. 47. Disputed elections. Until the Parliament otherwise provides, any questions respecting the qualification of a senator or of a member of the House of Representatives, or respecting a vacancy in either House of the Parliament, and any question of a disputed election to either House shall be determined by the House in which the question arises. 48. Allowance to the members. Until the Parliament otherwise provides, each senator or each member of the House of Representatives shall receive an allowance of £400 a year, to be reckoned from the day on which he takes his seat. 49. Privileges and C of houses and continuation of houses. The powers, privileges, and immunities of the Senate and of the House of Representatives and the members of the committees of each House shall be such as declared by the Parliament, and until declared shall be those of the Kingdom, of the Commons House of Parliament of the United Kingdom, and of its members and committees at the establishment of the Commonwealth. Number 50. Rules and orders. Each House of Parliament may take rules and orders with respect to the mode in which its powers, privileges, and immunities may be exercised and upheld, the order and conduct of its business and proceedings, either separately or jointly within the House with the other House. I'm so patriotic right now. My God. Oh, I'm just flowing with patriotism. Oh my God, patriotism. Power 5, power of the Parliament. 51. Legislative powers of the Parliament. The Parliament shall, subject to this Constitution, have power to make laws for the peace, order, and good governance of the Commonwealth within respect to trade and commerce with other countries and among the states, taxation, but so as not to discriminate between states or parts of states. Number 3, bounties on the production or export of goods, but so that such bounties shall be uniform throughout the Commonwealth. Number 4, borrowing money on the public credit of the Commonwealth. Number 5, postal, telegraphic, telephonic, and other like services. Bring Telstra back to the Commonwealth. Oh, no, just saying. Just saying. the naval and military defence of the Commonwealth and of several states, and the control of the forces to execute and maintain the laws of the Commonwealth. Lighthouses, lightships, beacons, and buoys. Ooh, astronomical and meteorological observations. Bro, where's Australia's NASA? Let's fuck shit up. I mean, let's not swear. Let's not swear. Truck stuff up. Whatever. More importantly, Australian NASA. Quarantine. Fisheries in Australian waters beyond territorial limits. Censuses and statistics. Currency, coinage, legal tender. Banking. Other than state banking, also state banking extending beyond the limits of the state concerned the incorporation of banks and the issue of paper money. Insurance. Other than state insurance, also state insurance extending beyond the limits of the state concerned. Weights and measures. Bills of exchange and promissory notes. Bankruptcy and insolvency. Copyrights, patents, or inventions and designs and trademarks. Naturalization and aliens. That would come in handy for the Australian NASA with all the aliens. Foreign corporations and trading or financial corporations formed within the limits of the Commonwealth. Marriage, divorce, and matrimonial causes, and in relation thereto, parental rights and the custody of and guardianship of infants. Involved invalid and old age pensions, the provision of maternity allowances, widows' pensions, child endowment, unemployment, pharmaceutical, sickness and hospital benefits, medical and dental services, but not so as to authorise any form of civil conscription, benefits to students and family allowances, the service and execution throughout the Commonwealth of the civil and criminal process and the judgment of courts of the states. The recognition throughout the Commonwealth of the laws, the public acts and records, and the judicial proceedings of the states. The people of any race for whom it is deemed necessary to make special laws. Immigration and emigration, the influx of criminals, external affairs, the relations of the Commonwealth with the islands of the Pacific, the acquisition of property on just terms from the state and or persons from any purpose in respect of which the Parliament has power to make laws. The control of railways. Ooh, give me that federal rail, boy. With respect to transport for the naval and military purposes of the Commonwealth. Oh, maybe it's just military ones. Oh my God, this patriotism. The acquisition with the consent of state of any railways of the state on terms arranged between the Commonwealth and the state. Railway construction and extension in any state with the consent of that state. Conciliation and arbitration for the prevention and state settlement of industrial disputes extending beyond the limits of any one state. Matters in respect of which this Constitution makes provisions until the Parliament otherwise provides. Matters referred to the Parliament of the Commonwealth by the Parliament or Parliaments of any state or states, but so that the laws shall extend only to states by whose parliaments and the matter is referred, or which afterwards adopt the law. The exercise within the Commonwealth at the request or with the concurrence of the parliaments of all the states directly concerned of any power which can at the establishment of this Constitution be exercised only by the Parliament of the United Kingdom or by the Federal Council of Australasia. Matters incidental to the execution of any power vested by the Constitution in the Parliament or in either house thereof, or in the government of the Commonwealth, or in the federal judicature, whatever, or in any department or office of the Commonwealth. Oh my God. Are you patriotic yet? Are you patriotic yet? Oh my God. I'm flowing with patriotism. 52. Executive powers of the Parliament. The Parliament shall, subject to its constitution, have exclusive power to make laws for the peace, order, and good government of the Commonwealth with respect to the seat of government of the Commonwealth and all places acquired by the Commonwealth for public purposes. Matters relating to any department of the public service, the control of which is by this Constitution transferred to the executive government of the Commonwealth. Other matters declared by this Constitution to be within the executive power of the Parliament. Powers of the House in respect of legislation. Number 53. We're going to propose laws appropriating revenue or monies or imposing taxation shall not originate in the Senate, but a proposed law shall not be taken to appropriate revenue or monies or to impose taxation by reason only if it's containing provisions for the imposition or appropriation of fines or other pecuniary penalties, or for the demand or payment or appropriation of fees for licenses or fees for services under the proposed law. Oh dear flippin' God. Oh my Lord. This thing just goes on. That's good. That's great. That's what we want. Gets people fired up. Gets people excited. The Senate may not amend proposed laws imposing taxation or proposed laws appropriation revenue or money from the ordinary annual services of the government. The Senate may not attend any proposed law so as to increase any proposed changes or charge or burden on the people. The Senate may at any stage return to the House of Representatives any proposed law which the Senate may not amend, requesting by message the omission or amendment of any items or provisions therein. And the House of Representatives may, if it thinks fit, make any of such omissions or amendments with or without modifications, except as provided in this section. The Senate shall have equal power with the House of Representatives in respect of all proposed laws. 54 appropriation bills. The proposed laws which appropriates revenue or monies for the ordinary annual services of the government shall deal only with such appropriation. Number 55, tax bill. Laws imposing taxation shall deal only with the imposition of taxation, and any provision therein dealing with any other matter shall be of no effect. Laws imposing taxation, except laws imposing duties of customs or of excise, shall deal with one subject of taxation only. But laws imposing duties of customs shall deal with duties of customs only, and laws imposing duties of excise shall deal with duties of excise only. Only deal with the excise, right? 56, recommendation of money votes. A vote, resolution, or proposed law for the appropriation of revenue or monies shall not be passed unless the purpose of the appropriation has in the same session been recommended by message of the Governor-General to the House in which the proposed originated. 57. Disagreement between the Houses. If the House of Representatives pass any proposed law and the Senate rejects or fails to pass it or passes it with amendments to which the House of Representatives will not agree, and if House of Representatives will not agree, and if after an interval of 3 months the House of Representatives in the same or the next session again passes the proposed law with or without any amendments which have been made, suggested, or agreed to by the Senate, and the Senate rejects or fails to pass it or passes it with amendments to which the House of Representatives will not agree, the Governor-General may dissolve the Senate and the House of Representatives simultaneously, but such dissolution shall not take place within 6 months before the date of the expiration of the House of Representatives by effluxion of time. That's the old double dissolution. You know, if this bill doesn't pass, cut them out. Cut both houses. If after such dissolution the House of Representatives again passes the proposed law with or without any amendments such have been made, suggested, or agreed to by the Senate, and the Senate rejects or fails to pass it, or passes it with amendments to which the House of Representatives will not agree, the Governor-General may convene a joint sitting of the members of the Senate and of the House of Representatives. The members present at the joint sitting may deliberate and shall vote together upon the proposed law as last proposed by the House of Representatives, and upon amendments, if any which have been made therein by any house and not agreed to by the other, and such amendments which are affirmed by an absolute majority of the total number of the members of the Senate and House of Representatives shall be taken to have been carried, and if the proposed law with the amendments, if any so carried, is affirmed by an absolute majority of the total number of the members of the Senate and the House of Representatives, it shall be taken to have been duly passed by both houses of the Parliament and shall be presented to the Governor-General for the Queen's assent. Oh, what a long, long road if people don't agree to get a piece of paper to the Queen. But I think we've changed that. I'm pretty sure we've changed that. But still, my Lord, what a... Jeez Louise. So patriotic, so Australia, so, oh my God, I just want to get mad and yell in the streets because I love this country. 58, royal assent to bills. When the proposed law passed by both houses of the Parliament is presented to the Governor-General for the Queen's assent, he shall declare according to his discretion, but subject to this Constitution, that he assents in the Queen's names, or that he withholds assent, or that he reserves the law for the Queen's pleasure. Recommendations by the Governor-General. The Governor-General may return to the House in which it originated any proposed law so presented to him, and may transmit therewith any amendments such which he may recommend, and the Houses may deal with the recommendation. Thank you, Governor-General. 59. Disallowance by the Queen. The Queen may disallow any law within 1 year from the Governor-General's assent, and such disallowance, on being made known by the Governor-General by a speech or message to each of the Houses of the Parliament or by proclamation, shall annul the law from the day when the disallowance is so made known. Oh, I just need to hydrate so I can be patriotic. I can patriotic better, be patriotic more when I'm hydrated. 60. Signification of Queen's pleasure on bills reserved. A proposed law deserved by the Queen's pleasure shall not have any force unless and until within 2 years from the day on which it has presented to the Governor-General for the Queen's assent. The Governor-General makes known by speech or message to each of the Houses of Parliament or by proclamation that it has received the Queen's assent. Okay, you can see a timer down below. How long have we been reading this thing? And how patriotic are we? But we're only just up to chapter 2 now. We're only just about to get to chapter 2. So all of that is, just over half, nearly half of the book. So it's patriotic, lots of rules. It's almost like this Constitution is just a boring book about how to run the country, and it's got nothing to do with about patriotic Australia, So I don't know what's going on here, but I don't know anyone says that this is the all by Bible or whatever. I don't know, whatever. Let's just keep going. Let's keep going so that I can be on a moral high horse and be better than those who claim to know this Constitution and love this country and all this. But if I've read it, I have a better understanding. And so thanks for reading along with me. Chapter 2, the Executive Government. 61, Executive Power. The executive power of Commonwealth is vested in the Queen and is exercisable by the Governor-General as the Queen's representative, and extends to the execution and maintenance of this Constitution and of the laws of the Commonwealth. Ooh, of the Commonwealth. 62. Federal Executive Council. All this patriotism. Sorry. Patriotism's coming up. There shall be a Federal Executive Council to advise the Governor-General in the government of the Commonwealth, and the members of the council shall be chosen and summoned by the Governor-General and sworn as executive councillors, and shall hold office during his pleasure. Provisions referring to Governor-General. The provisions of this Constitution referring to the Governor-General in council shall be construed as referring to the Governor-General acting with the advice of the Federal Executive Council. 64. Ministers of State. Ministers of State. The Governor-General may appoint officers to administer such departments of state of the Commonwealth as the Governor-General in council may establish. Such officers shall hold office during the pleasure of the Governor-General. They shall be members of the Federal Executive Council and shall be the Queen's Ministers of State for the Commonwealth. Ministers to sit in Parliament. After the first general election, no Minister of State shall hold office for a longer period than 3 months unless he is or becomes a senator or member of the House of Representatives. 65. Number of ministers. Until the Parliament otherwise provides, the Ministers of State shall not exceed 7 in number, and shall hold such offices as the Parliament prescribes, or in the absence of provision as the Governor-General directs. 66. Salaries of ministers. There shall be payable to the Queen out of the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Commonwealth for the salaries of the Ministers of State, an annual sum which, until the Parliament otherwise provides, shall not exceed £12,000 a year. 67. Appointment of civil servants. Until the Parliament otherwise provides, the appointment and removal of all other officers of the Executive Commonwealth of the Commonwealth, Executive Government of the Commonwealth, shall be vested in the Governor-General in council, unless the appointment is delegated by the Governor-General in council or by a law of the Commonwealth to some other authority. 68. Command of naval and military forces. The Command-in-Chief of the naval and military forces of the Commonwealth is vested in the Governor-General as the Queen's representative. 69. What do they do? 69. Nice. 69 is all about that transfer of certain departments. Oof, love me that 69 transfer of certain departments. On a date or dates to be proclaimed by the Governor-General after the establishment of the Commonwealth, the following departments of the public service in each state shall become transferred to the Commonwealth: posts, telegraphs and telephones, naval and military defence, lighthouses, lightships, beacons and buoys, and quarantine. But the Department of Customs and of Excise in each state shall become transferred to the Commonwealth on its establishment. 70. Certain powers of governance to vest in the Governor-General. In respect of matters which under the Constitution pass the executive government of the Commonwealth, all powers and functions which at the establishment of the Commonwealth are vested in the Governor of a colony or in the Governor of a colony with the advice of his Executive Council, or in any authority of a colony shall vest in the Governor-General or in the Governor-General in council or in the authority exercising similar powers under the Commonwealth as the case requires. Ooh, my God. This is just pumping. This is patriotism. Oh, yeah. Give me that. Give me that patriotism. I'm flowing. Chapter 3. The judicature. We better get this word right. Judicature. 71. Judicial power and courts. The judicial power of the Commonwealth shall be vested in a federal Supreme Court to be called the High Court of Australia, and in such other federal courts as the Parliament creates, and in such other courts as it invests with federal jurisdiction. The High Court shall consist of a chief of justice, may consist of a chief justice and so many other justices, not less than 2, as the Parliament prescribes. 72. Judges' appointment, tenure, and remuneration. The justices of High Court and of other courts created by the Parliament. 1. Shall be appointed by the Governor-General in Council. 2. Shall not be removed except by the Governor-General in Council on an address from both Houses of Parliament in the same session, praying for such removal on the ground of provided misbehaviour or incapacity. Number 3. Shall receive such remuneration as the Parliament may fix, but the remuneration shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. The appointment of a Justice of High Court shall be for a term expiring upon his obtaining the age of 70 years, and a person shall not be appointed as a Justice of the High Court if he has attained that age. The appointment, if you're too old, you're out. If you're too old, you're out. So maybe other parts of government should do that. Who knows? The appointment of a Justice of Court created by the Parliament shall be for a term expiring upon his attainment to the age that is at the time of the appointment the maximum age for justices of that court, and a person shall not be appointed as a justice of such a court if he has attained the age that is for the time being the maximum age for justices of that court. Subject to this section, the maximum age for justices of any court created by the Parliament is 70 years. The Parliament may make a law fixing an age that is less than 70 years as the maximum age for justices of the court created by the Parliament, and may at any time repeal or amend such a law. But any such repeal or amendment does not affect the term of office of a justice under an appointment made before the repeal or amendment. A justice of the High Court or of a court created by the... Oh my God, this... I'm just flowing with patriotism. It's just blocking my throat up. I can't get my patriotism out. What is it? I just want it out. Oh, let the patriotism flow. Get out of me. A justice of the High Court or a court created by the Parliament may resign his office by writing under his hand delivered to the Governor-General. It's yours. I'm out. Nothing in the provisions added to this section by the Constitution, alteration, retirement of judges 1977 affects the continuance of a person in office as justice of a court under an appointment made before the commencement of these provisions. A reference in this section to the appointment of a justice of the High Court or of a court created by the Parliament shall be read as including a reference to the appointment of person or of a person who holds office as a justice of the High Court or of a court created by the Parliament to another office of justice of the same court having a different status or designation. 73. Appellate jurisdiction of High Court. The High Court shall have jurisdiction with such exceptions. There we go. With such exceptions and subject to such regulations as the Parliament prescribes to hear and determine appeals from all judges, decrees, orders, and sentences of any justice or justices, increasing the original jurisdiction of the court, of any other court, federal court, or court exercising of any state, or of any other court of any state from which at the establishment of the Commonwealth an appeal lies to the Queen in Council, of the Interstate Commission, but as to questions of law only. The judgment of the High Court in such cases shall be final and conclusive, but no exception or regulation prescribed by the Parliament shall prevent the High Court from hearing and determining any appeal from the Supreme Court of a state in any matter in which, at the establishment of the Commonwealth, an appeal lies from such Supreme Court or to the Queen in Council, until the Parliament otherwise provides the conditions of a... Sorry, this is a lot of Vegemite coming up because I'm very patriotic. Until the Parliament otherwise provides the conditions of and restrictions on appeals to the Queen in Council from the Supreme Courts of the several states shall be applicable to appeals from them to the High Court. 74. Appeal to the Queen in Council. No appeal shall be permitted to the Queen in Council from a decision of the High Court upon any question. However arising as to the limits into, say, of the constitutional powers of the Commonwealth and those of any state or states, or as the limits into, say, of the constitutional powers of any two or more states, unless the High Court shall certify that the questions in such ought to be determined by Her Majesty in Council. The High Court may so certify if satisfied that for any special reason the certificate shall be granted, and thereupon an appeal shall lie to Her Majesty in Council on the question without further leave, except as provided in this section. This Constitution shall not impair any right which the Queen may be pleased to exercise by virtue of her royal prerogative, to grant special leave of appeal from the High Court to Her Majesty in Council. The Parliament may make laws limiting the matters in which such leave may be asked, but proposed laws continuing any such limitation shall be reserved by the Governor-General for Her Majesty's pleasure. My God, this thing just reads like, hey, Mum, please can I go hang out and play with my friends? Here's all the rules. I'll be home by this time. I'll do this. I promise I'll clean the garden. I'll clean the gutters. I'll vacuum the house. Please, 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 let me federate. Please. That's what this thing just reads like that. There's nothing that just goes, yeah, I'm Australia. It's just like, please, can I be Australia? Please, I want to go do things. Oh, my God. I love this country, but this book needs to change. This Constitution needs to reflect us a bit better. And, sorry, my patriotism flowing out of me here. You know, maybe a referendum or something for a republic. Let's do a republic. That'd be sick. Let's write this thing so it's actually sick. Not so boring like this. Oh, my God. Please, Queen, I want to do this. 75, original jurisdiction of High Court. In all matters arising under any treaty affecting consuls or other representatives of other countries in which the Commonwealth or a person suing or being sued on behalf of the Commonwealth is a party, between states or between residents of different states or between a state and a resident of another state, in which a right of mandarins or prohibition or an injunction is sought against an officer of the Commonwealth. The High Court shall have original jurisdiction. 76. Additional original jurisdiction. The Parliament may make laws conferring original jurisdiction on the High Court in any matter arising under this Constitution or involving its interpretation arising under any laws made by the Parliament of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction relating to the same subject matter claimed under the laws of different states. Number 77. Power to define jurisdiction. With respect to any of the matters mentioned in the last two sections, the Parliament may make laws defining the jurisdiction of any federal court other than the High Court. 2. Defining the extent to which the jurisdiction of any federal court shall be exclusive of that which belongs to or is invested in the courts of the states. Number 3. Investing any court of a state with federal jurisdiction. Number 78. Proceeding against Commonwealth or state. The Parliament may make laws conferring rights to proceed against the Commonwealth or a state in respect of matters within the limits of the judicial power. Number 79, number of judges. The federal jurisdiction of any court may be exercised by such number of judges as the Parliament prescribes. Number 80, trial by jury. The trial on indictment of any offence against any law of the Commonwealth shall be by jury, and every such trial shall be held in the state where the offence was committed. And if the offence was not committed within any state, the trial shall be held at such place or places as the Parliament prescribes. Yeah. Look, this is all important stuff, and it has helped our country function and run till this date. But I think it needs to reflect a little bit less of, hey, please, Queen, a bit more, hey, people, please the people, you know. Mike, yeah, all right. We're going to get to the fun bit. Chapter 4. Oh, my God. Finance and trade. 81. Consolidated Revenue Fund. All revenues or monies raised or received by the executive government of the Commonwealth shall form the one consolidated revenue fund to be appropriated for the purposes of the Commonwealth in the manner subject to the charges and liabilities imposed by this Constitution. 82. Expenditure charged thereon, the costs, charges, and expenses incident to the collection, management, and receipt of the consolidated revenue fund shall form the first charge thereon, and the revenue of the Commonwealth shall be in the first instance be applied to the payment of the expenditure of the Commonwealth. 83. Money to be appropriated by law. No money shall be drawn from the Treasury of the Commonwealth except under appropriation made by law. But until the expiration of 1 month after the first meeting of the Parliament of the Governor-General in Council by draw from the Treasury and expended such monies as may be necessary for the maintenance of any department transferred to the Commonwealth and for the holding of the first elections of the Parliament. 84. Transfer of officers. When any department of the public service of a state becomes transferred to the Commonwealth, all officers of the department shall become subject to the control of the executive government of the Commonwealth. Any such officer who is not retained in the service of the Commonwealth shall, unless he is appointed to some other office of equal emolument in the public service of the state, be entitled to receive from the state any pension, gratuity, or other compensation payable under the law of the state on the abolishment of his office. Any such officer who is retained in the service of the Commonwealth shall preserve all his existing and occurring rights and shall be entitled to retire from office at the time and on the pension or retiring allowance, which shall be permitted by the law of the state if the service with the Commonwealth were a continuation of his service with the state. Such pension or retiring allowance shall be paid to him by the Commonwealth, but the state shall pay the Commonwealth a part thereof to be calculated by the proportion which his term of office with the state bears to his whole term of service, and for the purpose of the calculation his salary shall be taken to be that paid to him by the state at the time of the transfer. Any officer who is at the establishment of the Commonwealth in the public service of the state and who is by consent of the governor of the state with the advice of the Executive Council thereof transferred to the public service of the Commonwealth shall have the same rights as if he had been an officer of a department transferred to the Commonwealth and were retained in the service of the Commonwealth. 85. Transfer of property of state. When any department of the public service of a state is transferred to the Commonwealth, I'd say, hey, we want ACT, or hey, we want Jervis Bay, stuff like that. Give it to me, New South Wales. Give it to me now. All property of the state of any kind used exclusively in connection with the department shall become vested in the Commonwealth, but in the case of departments controlling customs and excise and bounties, for such time only as the Governor-General in Council may declare be necessary. The Commonwealth may acquire any property of the state of any kind used by, but not exclusively used in connection with the department. The value thereof shall, if not agreement can be made by ascertained in as nearby as may be the manner in which the value of land or of an interest in land taken by the state for the public purposes in ascertained under the law of the state in force at the establishment of the Commonwealth. Commonwealth shall compensate the state for the value of any property posing to the Commonwealth under this section. If no agreement can be made as to the mode of compensation, it shall be determined under laws to be made by the Parliament. The Commonwealth shall, at the date of the transfer, assume the current obligations of the state in respect of the department transferred. Okay, so we're getting to a bit where they don't even give the little subtitle now. So it's like there's the number and then there's the subtitle, and now it's just there's a number. They're running out of subtitles. On the establishment of the Commonwealth, the collection and the control of duties of customs and of excise and the control of the payment of bounties shall pass to the executive government of the Commonwealth. 87. During a period of 10 years after the establishment of the Commonwealth and thereafter until the Parliament otherwise provides of the net revenue of the Commonwealth from duties of customs of excise, no more than 1/4 shall be applied annually by the Commonwealth towards expenditure. The balance shall, in accordance with this Constitution, be paid to the several states or applied towards the payment of interest on debts of the several states taken over by the Commonwealth. Hey, they're back. Subtitles are back. There we go. Look at that. This Constitution, my lord, she's great. Love it. 88. Uniform duties of customs. It's a rule book. I'm basically reading a rule book. I feel like a referee right now, just reading the books. 88. Uniform duties of customs. Uniform duties of customs shall be imposed within 2 years after the establishment of the Commonwealth. 89. Payment to states before uniform duties until the imposition of uniform duties of customs. The Commonwealth shall credit to each state the revenues collected therein by the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth shall debit to each state the expenditure therein of the Commonwealth incurred solely for the maintenance or continuance as at the time of transfer of any department transferred from the state to the Commonwealth, the proportion of the state according to the number of its people in the other expenditure of the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth shall pay to each state month by month the balance, if any, in favour of the state. All right, so you get paid money based on the people you have. So Tasmania, why don't you let more people in if you want more funding? Maybe you get a stadium built. I'm not picking a fight with Tasmania. You are. Get off my back. Number 90. Exclusive power over customs, excise and bounties. On the imposition of uniform duties of customs, the power of the Parliament to impose duties of customs and of excise and to grant bounties on the production or export of goods shall become exclusive. On the imposition of uniform duties of customs, all laws of several states imposing duties of customs or of excise or offering bounties on the production or export of goods shall cease to have effect, but any grant of or agreement from any such bounty lawfully made by or under the authority of the government of any state shall be taken to be good if made before the 13th day of June, 1898, and not otherwise. 91. Exceptions as to bounties. Nothing in this Constitution prohibits a state from granting any aid to or bounty or mining for gold, silver, or other metals, nor from granting with the consent of both houses of the Parliament of the Commonwealth, expressed by the resolution, and any aid to or bounty on the production or export of goods. 92. Fine, I'll hang out with you. I'll do a federation with you, but you touch my gold, I'll be mad. 92. Trade within the Commonwealth to be free. On the imposition of uniform duties of customs, trade, commerce, and the intercourse among the we missed a page. Of the intercourse of my fat fingers. Sorry, I'm got excited on the intercourse part. And intercourse among the states, whether by means of internal carriage or ocean navigation, shall be absolutely free. Don't tax me, I won't tax you. We're all friends now here. But notwithstanding anything in the Constitution, goods imported before the imposition of uniform duties of customs into any state or into any colony, which, whilst the goods remain therein, becomes a state, shall on thence or passing into another state within 2 years after the imposition of such duties be liable to any duty chargeable on the importation of such goods into the Commonwealth, less any duty paid in respect of the Commonwealth on their importation. 93. Payment to states for 5 years after uniform tariffs. During the first 5 years after the imposition of uniform duties of customs, and thereafter until the Parliament otherwise provides the duties of customs chargeable on goods imported into a state and afterwards passing into another state for consumption, and the duties of excise paid on goods produced or manufactured in a state and afterwards passing into another state for consumption, shall be taken to have been collected not in the former but in the latter. Subject to the last subsection, the Commonwealth shall credit revenue, debit expenditure, and pay balances to the several states as prescribed for the period preceding the imposition of uniform duties of customs. My lord. 94. Good year. I was born then. It's a good one. Distribution of surplus. After 5 years from the imposition of uniform duties of customs, the Parliament may provide on such basis as it deems fair for the monthly payment to the several states of all surplus revenue of the Commonwealth. 95. Customs duties of Western Australia. You special little devil. You get a whole section just for you. Notwithstanding anything in this Constitution, the Parliament of the State of Western Australia, if that state be an original state, may, during the first 5 years after the imposition of uniform duties of customs, impose duties of customs on goods passing into that state and not originally imported from beyond the limits of the Commonwealth. And such duties shall be collected by the Commonwealth. But any duty so imposed on any goods shall not exceed during the first of such 5 years the duty chargeable on the goods under the law of Western Australia in force at the imposition of uniform duties, and shall not exceed during the section 3rd, 4th, and 5th of such years respectively 4/5, 3/5, 2/5, and 1/5 of such latter duty, and all duties imposed under this section shall cease at the expiration of the 5th year after the imposition of uniform duties. If at any time the 5 years of the duty and on any goods under this section is higher than the duty imposed by the Commonwealth on the importation of the goods of the like goods, then such higher duty shall be collected on the goods when imported into Western Australia from beyond the limits of the Commonwealth. 96. Financial assistance to the states. During a period of 10 years after the establishment of the Commonwealth and thereafter until the Parliament otherwise provides, the Parliament may grant financial assistance to any state on such terms and conditions as the Parliament thinks fit. 97. Audit. Until the Parliament otherwise provides, the laws in force in any colony which has become or becomes a state with respect to the receipt of the revenue and the expenditure of money on account of the government of the colony, and the revenue and audit of such receipt and expenditure shall apply to the receipt of revenue and expenditure of money on account of the Commonwealth in the state in the same manner as if the Commonwealth or the government or an officer of the Commonwealth were mentioned whenever the colony and the government or an officer of the colony is mentioned. 98. Trade and commerce includes navigation and state railways. The power of the Parliament to make laws with respect to the trade and commerce extends to the navigation and shipping and to railways, the property of any state. 99. Commonwealth not to give preference. The Commonwealth shall not, by any law or regulation of trade, commerce, or revenue, give preference to one state or any part thereof over another state or any part thereof. The big 100 for those. Anyway. Nor abridge right to use water. The Commonwealth shall not, by any law or regulation of trade or commerce, abridge the right of a state or of the residents therein to the reasonable use of the waters of rivers for conservation or irrigation. Isn't this thing where the one state's blocking the river further up and then Victoria further down doesn't have the water? Something's going on there. Look into it. Cotton farms. Anyway, 101. Interstate Commission. There shall be an interstate commission with such powers of jurisdiction and administration as the Parliament deems necessary for the execution and maintenance within the Commonwealth of the provisions of the Constitution regulating the trade and commerce and of all laws made thereof after or thereunder. 102. Parliament may forbid preferences by state. The state may by any law with respect to trade or commerce forbid as to railways any preference or discrimination by any state or by any authority constituted under a state of which preference or discrimination is undue and the unreasonable or unjust to any state due regard being had to the financial responsibilities incurred by any state in connection with the construction and maintenance of its railways. But no preference or discrimination shall within the meaning of this section be taken to be undue or unreasonable or unjust to any state unless so adjudged by the Interstate Commission. 103. Commissioners appointed tenure and remuneration. The members of the Interstate Commission shall be appointed by the Governor-General in Council, shall hold office for 7 years, but may be removed within that time by the Governor-General in Council on an address from both Houses of Parliament in the same session, praying for such removal on the ground of provided misbehaviour or incapacity. 3. Shall receive such remuneration as the Parliament may fix such remuneration. Shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. 104. Saving of certain rates. Nothing in this Constitution shall render unlawful any rate for the carriage of goods upon a railway. The property of a state, if the rate is deemed by the Interstate Commission to be necessary for the development of the territory of the state, and if the rate applies equally to goods within the state and to goods passing into the state from other states. 105. Taking other public debts of states. The Parliament may take over from the states their public debts or proportion of according to the respective numbers of their people, as shown by the latest statistics of the Commonwealth, and may convert, renew, or consolidate such debts, or any part thereof, and the states shall indemnify the Commonwealth in respect of the debts taken over, and thereafter the interest payable in respect of the debts shall be deducted and retained from the portions of the surplus revenue of the Commonwealth payable to the several states, or if such surplus is insufficient, or if there is no surplus, then the deficiency or the whole amount shall be paid by the several states. I got your back, you got mine. I'll shout Macca's this time. You can't afford it. I'll shout you Macca's next time. It's that sort of thing. That's the magic of our states coming together. Love it. It's a real team. That's what I like. It's a rule book of how these states hang out. 105A, agreements with respect to the state debts. The Commonwealth may take agreements with the states with respect to the public debts of the state, including A, taking over the such debts by the Commonwealth, B, the management of such debts, C, the payment of interest and the provision and management of sinking funds in respect of such debts, D, the consolidation, renewal, conversion, and redemption of such debts, E, the indemnification of the Commonwealth by the states in respect of debts taken over by the Commonwealth, and F, the borrowing of money by the states or by the Commonwealth for the states. Number 2, the Parliament may make laws for validating any such agreement made before the commencement of this section. The Parliament may make laws for the carrying out by the parties thereto of any such agreement. Any such agreement may be varied or rescinded by the parties thereto. Every such agreement and any such variation thereof shall be binding upon the Commonwealth and the states parties thereto, notwithstanding anything contained in this Constitution or the Constitution of the several states, or in any law of Parliament of the Commonwealth or of any state. Number 6, the powers conferred by this section shall not be construed as being limited in any way by the provisions of section of 105 of this Constitution. Don't you dare. Chapter 5, the States. 106, saving of Constitution. The Constitution of each state of the Commonwealth shall, subject to this Constitution, continue as at the establishment of the Commonwealth, or as at the admission or establishment of the state, as the case may be, until altered in accordance with the Constitution of the state. 107, saving of power of state parliaments. Every power of the Parliament of a colony which has become or becomes a state shall, unless it is by this Constitution exclusively vested in the Parliament of the Commonwealth or withdrawn from the Parliament of the state, continue as at the establishment of the Commonwealth, or as at the admission or establishment of the state, as the case may be. 108, saving the state laws. Every law in force in a colony which has become or becomes a state and relating to any matter within the powers of the Parliament of the Commonwealth shall, subject to this Constitution, continue in force in the state, and until provision is made in that behalf by the Parliament of the Commonwealth, the Parliament of the state shall have such powers of alteration and of repeal in respect of any such laws as the Parliament of the colony had until the colony became a state. I'm going to have some juice. 109. Inconsistency of laws. When a law of a state is inconsistent with a law of the Commonwealth, the latter shall prevail, and the former shall, to the extent of the inconsistencies, be invalid. Federal first, baby. 110. Provisions referring to governor. The provisions of this Constitution relating to the governor of a state extended and apply to the governor for the time being of the state, or after chief executive officer or administrator of the government of the state. 101. States may surrender territory. The Parliament of a state may surrender any part of the state to the Commonwealth, and upon such surrender and acceptance thereof by the Commonwealth, such part of the state shall become subject to the exclusive jurisdiction of the Commonwealth. Canberra, Jervis Bay. Oh, Canberra's so cool. There's so much history there. You should go look it out. Go check it out. Beautiful building. 112. States may levy charges by inspection laws. After uniform duties of customs have been imposed, a state may levy on imports or exports or on goods passing into or out of the state such charges as may be necessary for executing the inspection laws of the state. But the net produce of all charges so levied shall be for the use of the Commonwealth, and any such inspection laws may be annulled by the Parliament of the Commonwealth. 113. Intoxicating liquids. All fermented, distilled, or other intoxicating liquids passing into any state or remaining thereof for use, consumption, sale, or storage shall be subject to the laws of the state as if such liquids had been produced in that state. The Bundy rum, the VB, all the good stuff. 114. States may not raise forces. Taxation of property of Commonwealth or state. A state shall not, without the consent of the Parliament of the Commonwealth, raise or maintain any naval or military force or impose any tax on property of any kind belonging to the Commonwealth, nor shall the Commonwealth impose any tax or property of any kind belonging to a state. Western Australia, stand down. Put the army aside. There's no need for us to fight. 115. States not to coin money. A state shall not coin money nor make anything but gold and silver coin a legal tender in payment of debts. The Queensland dollar do. Bluey, quit it. Bluey, stop it. 116. Commonwealth not to legislate in respect of religion. The Commonwealth shall not make any law for establishing any religion or the imposing any religious observance or for prohibiting the free exercise of any religion, and no religious test shall be required as a qualification for any office or public trust under the Commonwealth. We have freedom of religion. Look at that. How beautiful. 117. Rights of residence in states. A subject of the Queen resident in any state shall not be subject in any other state to any disability or discrimination which would not be equally incapable to him, or if he were a subject of the Queen resident in such other state. 118. Recognition of laws and continuation of states. Full faith and credit shall be given throughout the Commonwealth to the laws, the public acts and records, and the jurisdiction and the judicial proceedings of every state. 119. Protection of states from invasion and violence. The Commonwealth shall protect every state against invasion and on the application of the executive government of the state against domestic violence. Thank you. Looking after us. Thank you, Commonwealth. 120. Custody of offenders against laws of the Commonwealth. Every state shall make provision for the detention and its prisons and persons accused of conviction of offences against the laws of the Commonwealth, and for the punishment of persons convicted of such offences, and the Parliament of the Commonwealth may make laws to give effect to the provision. New states time. So this part could be very relevant to you, New Zealand, when you... Come and join us. Get over here. Half your people are over here anyway. Well, join us. Let's be a gang. Let's be a real team. Chapter 6. New states. 121. New states may be admitted or established. The Parliament may admit to the Commonwealth or establish new states, and may upon such admission or establishment make or impose such terms and conditions, including the extent of representation in either House of Parliament, as it thinks fit. Number 22. 122. Government of territories. The Parliament may make laws for the government of any territory surrendered by any state to and accepted by the Commonwealth, or of any territory placed by the Queen under the authority and of accepted by the Commonwealth, or otherwise acquired by the Commonwealth, and may allow the representation of such territory in either House of Parliament, or to extend any, or to the extent and on the terms which it thinks fit. 123. Alteration of limits of states. The Parliament of the Commonwealth may, with the consent of the Parliament of a state and the approval of the majority of the electors of the state voting upon the question, increase, diminish, or otherwise alter the limits of the state upon such terms and conditions as may be agreed on, and may, with the like consent, make provision respecting the effect and operation of any increase or diminution or alteration of territory in relation to any state affected. 124. Formation of new states. A new state may be formed by separation of territory from a state, but only with the consent of the parliament thereof, and new state may be formed by the union of two or more states or parts of states, but only with the consent of the parliament of the states affected. Chapter 7, miscellaneous. Oh my god. The jumble drawer where all the batteries and rubber bands live. 125, state of government. The seat of government of the Commonwealth shall be determined by the Parliament and shall be within territory which shall have been granted to or acquired by the Commonwealth, and shall be vested in and belong to the Commonwealth, and shall be in the state of New South Wales, and be distant not less than 100 miles from Sydney. Such territory shall contain an area of not less than 100 square miles, and such portion thereof as shall consist of Crown lands shall be granted to the Commonwealth without any payment thereafter. The Parliament shall sit at Melbourne until it meet at the seat of government. 126. Power to Her Majesty to authorise Governor-General to appoint duties. The Queen may authorise the Governor-General to appoint any person or any persons jointly or severally to be his deputy or deputies within part of the Commonwealth, and if that capacity to the exercise during the pleasure of the Governor-General, such powers and functions of the Governor-General as he thinks fit to assign such deputy or deputies, subject to any limitations expressed or directions given by the Queen, but the appointment of such deputy or deputies shall not affect the exercise by the Governor-General himself or any power or function. Sick. Patriotism. Like, that bit felt patriotic. I don't know. The state stuff was cool. That's kind of cool. But anyway. Chapter 8. Alteration of the Constitution. Ooh, change in this book. Must be a mission. 128. Mode of alteration, the Constitution. The Constitution shall not be altered except in the following manner. The proposed law for the alteration thereof must be passed by an absolute majority of each House of the Parliament, and not less than 2 or more than 6 months after its passage through both houses. The proposed law shall be submitted in each state and territory to the electors qualified to vote for the election of members of the House of Representatives. But if either house passes any such proposed law by an absolute majority, and other house rejects or fails to pass it, or passes it with any amendment to which the first mentioned house will not agree, and if after an interval of 3 months the first mentioned house in the same or the next session again passes the proposed law by an absolute majority, with or without any amendments which has been made or agreed to by the other house, and such other house rejects or fails to pass it, or passes it with any amendment to which the first mentioned house will not agree, the Governor-General may submit the proposed law as the last proposed by the first mentioned house, and either with or without any amendments. Subsequently agreed to by both houses, to the electors in each state and territory qualified to vote for the election of the House of Representatives. When a proposed law is submitted to the electors, the vote shall be taken in such manner as the Parliament prescribes, but until the qualification of electors of members of the House of Representatives becomes uniform throughout the Commonwealth, only one half the electors voting for and against the proposed law shall be counted in any state in which adult suffrage prevails. And if in a majority of the states, a majority of the electors voting approve the proposed law, and if a majority of all electors voting also approve the proposed law, it shall be presented to the Governor-General for the Queen's assent. no alteration diminishing the proportionate representation of any state in either house of the parliament or the minimum number of representatives of a state in the House of Representatives, or increasing, diminishing, or otherwise altering the limits of the state or in any manner affecting the provisions of the Constitution in relation thereto, shall become law unless the majority of the electors voting in that state approve the proposed law. In this section, territory means any territory referring to it in section 122 of this Constitution, in respect of which there is in force a law allowing its representation in the House of Representatives. Oh my God. I need to pee.